Yo, what is up guys? Stelboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, we are fast approaching the Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk rematch. Of course, that fight goes down on the 21st of December in Saudi Arabia. First time around, of course, back in May I believe it was, Oleksandr Usyk defeated Tyson Fury by a 12-round split decision. And going into this rematch, I'm starting to get more excited as we get closer. Of course, the fight first time around was really good. Actually a much better fight than I anticipated it being. Like a much better fight. Because for some reason going in, I felt the first fight was going to be a bit nip and tuck. A few rounds where not much is happening. Maybe a bit messy at times. But it was a much better fight than I was expecting. Had some great moments in it. Both guys had success. But for me, as you guys know, Usyk still won it pretty clearly. I felt the split decision was too kind for Tyson Fury. But yeah, going into this rematch, I am getting more excited. I've noticed a lot of people talking about Tyson Fury and his, I guess, mindset going into this rematch. His conditioning, etc. A lot of people speculating that he looks heavy, which he does a bit in my opinion. And yeah, I wanted to give my thoughts on Tyson Fury going into this rematch, you know, in regards to like the mental side of things and even the physical side as well. A lot of people are reading a lot into Tyson Fury's behaviour post Usyk loss. Obviously, immediately after the fight, he was pictured getting plastered coming out of a bar. He could barely stand. Well, he couldn't stand, drunk out of his mind. The face-off was recently released where Tyson Fury wasn't his usual kind of self, where he's trolling, having fun, you know, being a bit erratic. It was a very demure Tyson Fury, a very quiet Tyson Fury, a Tyson Fury who, you know, was quite within himself, I would say. And, you know, we saw the same thing at the press conference with Oleksandr Usyk. Tyson Fury, very quiet, nowhere near as boisterous as he usually is. Not too much to say, very matter of fact, you know, just talking about the fight. And a lot of people are speculating that Tyson Fury has had the fear of God put into him by Oleksandr Usyk, and that he's scared of this rematch and that he doesn't want it. I wouldn't go that far for me. Is there apprehension there? Without a doubt. We know what happened first time around. I don't think Tyson Fury believed that Usyk could go in there and hurt him like he did. And I think he was taken aback by the stamina of Usyk and how hard he had to work to stay in that fight, to get through the 12 rounds. I certainly think Fury's confidence took a hit in that first fight. I wouldn't go as far as saying he's dreading this rematch and he's terrified of Usyk. I think that's for the birds, to be honest with you. One thing I think Tyson Fury may have realised, and this is how I'm reading it, going into that first fight, and it was a long build-up because there was so much talk about this fight happening, then it got made, then it got delayed. There was so much build-up, and throughout the build-up, Tyson Fury was doing his best, his very best, to troll Usyk, to get under Usyk's skin. You know, middleweight this, middleweight that, little, too small. You know, he was trying to get a rise out of Usyk, and he ultimately couldn't. And one thing Tyson Fury's been good at in his career is to get his opponents to bite, to get his opponents emotionally involved. Most notably Vladimir Klitschko, but also Deontay Wilder, to a lesser degree Derek Chisora. I mean, he had Chisora's trainer in that second fight, Don Charles, losing his mind. So Fury's been pretty adept at getting under people's skin. And I looking back in hindsight, and it's easy to say in hindsight, but looking back into the build-up to that first fight, as it got closer to that fight, I saw Tyson Fury becoming more and more, not erratic, because Tyson Fury is erratic anyway, but I sensed he was getting more and more frustrated that he couldn't get this guy to bite whatsoever. Usyk was just himself throughout the build-up, came up with his catchphrase, greedy belly, like he does with a lot of opponents. And he was just himself. He couldn't get under Usyk's skin. He couldn't get Usyk to emotionally respond the way he has previous opponents. And I noticed the closer we got to that first fight, Fury was getting more and more frustrated. To the point to where, yeah, he's erratic, but to a degree it's controlled erraticism. It's like he's playing a role, but I genuinely feel he got frustrated in the build-up to that first fight, purely because he couldn't get to Usyk. And I think looking back, he may have thought that he used a lot of energy, a lot of emotional energy, trying to get under Usyk's skin, but instead, he just got under his own skin. And this time around, he's not taking that approach. Now, people are speculating it's because he's worried, he's not confident, and that could be part of it, but I think a big part of it may be just a change in strategy. Not to get involved, not to troll, not to try and get under his skin, not to get emotionally involved, and basically to save that energy, to save it for training, I feel that may be a strategy going into this second fight for Tyson Fury. I feel it may be a conscious decision from Tyson Fury. I felt going into that first fight, there was a sense of a lack of emotional control. And that also manifested itself in Tyson Fury's team. We saw what Tyson Fury's dad, John Fury, did on fight week, headbutting one of Usyk's team members. In the corner, multiple voices talking at the same time. That emotional instability manifested itself not only through Tyson Fury, but also through his team. And I think this time around he's taking a more backseat approach. He's taking a more sportsman type of approach going into this rematch. Purely focusing on the fight and the fight alone. I don't think this is purely influenced by the fact that Tyson Fury's confidence may have taken a hit. Or that he may be a little worried going into this rematch. I'm sure that's a little part of it. But I don't think it's the whole reason. I think this is conscious by Tyson Fury to change up his approach going into this rematch. And it could be smart. It reminds me of when Carl Froch fought George Groves. Before that first fight, Carl Froch got so emotionally involved. George Groves had him on strings like a puppet master. Anything George Groves said got a reaction out of Carl Froch. To the point to where he looked so emotionally unstable going into that first fight. And leading into the second fight, Carl Froch changed it up. He kind of treated George Groves at arm's length. He kept George Groves at arm's length during the build-up. He got involved a little bit, but nowhere near to the extent that he did first time around. And in the rematch, of course, Froch was a lot more controlled, not only in the build-up, but it manifested in the fight. Obviously, Froch won that first fight with Groves technically, whereas Fury lost that first fight. But I can see parallels with the way they're approaching these fights. I can see parallels. In relation to the weight of Tyson Fury, a lot of people are speculating that Fury is heavy going in, and he does look a bit heavier, but we are still a little way out. For me, I have speculated on what Fury should do going into this rematch from a conditioning point of view, I guess. A physical point of view. I personally feel Fury should really hone in on cardio. He should really focus his camp around stamina to try and get more juice out of himself, so to speak, because first time around, that was one of his biggest issues, was stamina. He had the size and stature and reach to trouble Usyk, we saw that, and the unorthodoxness to trouble Usyk, we saw that, but he couldn't maintain it. For me, this time around, I think Fury's camp should be primarily focused around cardio. Obviously, still do things like sparring. I'm not saying don't spar, just run, or anything like that. But I think he should focus on cardio, but to try and keep up with Usyk. Or at least do a better job of keeping up with Usyk. But maybe he's going for a size approach. Maybe he's going to try to put on a bit of weight or a bit of muscle and use his size, in like an aggressive perspective. I'm not sure that's a great idea considering considering how badly Usyk hurt Fury first time around, I'm not convinced that's a good idea. If Fury goes in big this time around, I think it's basically a 6-round fight for Fury, as in he needs to get Usyk out of there in 6 rounds, or do a significant amount of damage to him in those 6 rounds to win the fight. If he comes in heavy, I think that's only going to affect his stamina. It's only going to affect his ability to keep going as the fight goes on. So for me, if he does come in heavy, it's a 6-round fight for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury needs to have a fight won in 6 rounds. Either knock Usyk out in those 6 rounds, or put a big enough beating on him to where he's up on the cards and Usyk doesn't have the energy to really mount a successful comeback. I think coming in heavy, though, is a bad idea, and I think using size in an aggressive sense, I think that could be a bad idea as well. I think Fury had the right idea in the first fight, looking back. I just don't think he could sustain it from a stamina point of view. He couldn't sustain it for 12 rounds because Usyk made him work so much, you know? But if he can work on his stamina, you know, I do think that gives Fury a better chance, because Fury only has to make this fight close and he probably gets the decision. Like, if Fury wins 5 clear rounds, I think there's a very good chance he gets the decision. So knowing that, if I was around Tyson Fury, that's what I'd be working on, is purely stamina. Enough stamina to win a couple of more rounds clearly, and chance your arm on the cards. That's what I'd be focusing camp around. Like I said, obviously spar and do boxing training, technique training, game plan type of tactics, etc. Do all that, but have the camp focused around stamina. Not weight or anything like that, just pure stamina. And what he comes in at in terms of weight. But yeah, the whole build up to this fight is starting to get interesting, especially from Tyson Fury's perspective, like the mental side of things. I think this subdued approach by Fury may be partly by design. That's what I'm feeling right now. That's the sense I'm getting. But yeah, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy, peace.